Okay, good morning. Today, well, first of all, we're gonna just git add git status. And push that to the backend so that Claude will work. Okay, so today I just wanted to talk about something that I deal with all the time, and that's like figuring out where to put your effort and where not to put your effort, because I think I very easily get split into like lots of different things. When I get going on a project like this, I build up momentum, and that momentum then wants to go into all kinds of other things. So, um, for instance, a really good example of this is my disease or my sickness is almost wanting to start a YouTube channel for everything that I come up with, or I just constantly get ideas for like these YouTube channels that I would like to do. And my most recent one is I've been watching with my girlfriend. My girlfriend started watching the series called You on Netflix, and she's been watching that before, and then now a new season came out or something, and so on episode 2 she was watching that one morning, and I had nothing to do, so I just sat down, and we were kind of joking around about the fact that like if I just sit down and to watch this, I'm gonna get stuck, and then I'll want to watch the whole thing, and I'll want to watch from season 1. And obviously, I did. I did get stuck. I thought it was a really good show, but the thing about me is that I get stuck on, or I, since doing YouTube and doing video making stuff for such a long time, I think I watch certain shows or certain movies and things from a different perspective. And so what really sold me on this show is his voiceover. I think his voiceover, when you hear him think, I think that's just like the best voiceover that I've heard, and it just got me like sucked in a way. Like it's really, I don't know, I really just like the way that he does the voiceover for that show. Another thing that I've watched, which is like What's Eating Gilbert Grape, I really, really like the voiceover that Johnny Depp does at the beginning of that, where he's like, he's talking about the town of wherever he's at, and um, he says something like, it's a town where nothing much ever happens and nothing much ever will. And the way that he says that, the way that he uses the voice, I think it's just his voice maybe, but the way that he speaks, the kind of calmness, and at the same time, I don't know, the way that it feels, I just really connected with that voiceover and that part of that movie. And same thing here with the You show. I just really deeply connected with that voiceover, and I'm just like, I want to see that voiceover, but somewhere else. I feel like that could be added to other videos. I feel like I could do something like that. I just don't know how, and I don't know if it even makes sense to do it. Because like what I get stuck on is like I get so sold or so into that voiceover. I just like that voiceover so much that I almost like try to look for like, where could I apply that? Could I apply that somewhere? And like I really like this mic, for instance, right now on these videos. I feel like the audio now has gotten a lot better, and that makes me want to use this a lot more and make other videos for other channels maybe. So what I was thinking is like, could you implement something where you film like nature stuff, and then you implement thoughts that you have, just like random thoughts. It could be whatever, but you just apply that to those like nature type videos. And at the same time as thinking these things, I know that's not unique. I know I've seen things like that before, but it's just something that where I feel like there could be something there if I just like kind of I don't know what that Michelangelo quote is, where it's like the sculpture is there, but he has to remove the rocks to show the sculpture. It's like if I chisel my way at this, then maybe I could find where there is like a new type of niche in that, where you combine that sort of storytelling type of voiceover that he does, where it feels really intimate and feels like you're inside his head. But you combine that with something more serene and more like beautiful imagery of someone walking in a forest or things like that. And I know that has been done, I think, a lot, but I don't know. I feel like there's something there, and I feel like I'm drawn to it. So I have a hard time now understand or figuring out, should I try to do that, or should I just not waste energy that I have on another project that might not be worth as much as like just focusing on this. And I think that's my main struggle, and it's always been my main struggle when it comes to everything that I do, is that I want to do 10 things at once, and I think, if I'm honest, I think I have a hard time sticking to things. The first thing that I ever stuck to, I think, was the gym, like working out. And other than that, it's just been like hobby after hobby that I've just been like switching between. And even like my cousins will make fun of me about this, or my sister. For like when I was a kid, I would have these periods where it was just like all about Spider-Man. It was nothing but Spider-Man for like 6 months. And then it was all about Pirates of the Caribbean. Nothing but Pirates of the Caribbean for like a year. And then it was all about the Lord of the Rings or something. And the way that I work is I get so hyper into things that I will sort of let go of anything else. Like if I would start playing soccer and I'd be like super into soccer, and that would be all that I thought about for like 3 months. And then all of a sudden after 3 months, I'm like, I lost interest. I didn't want to do it anymore. I think that's pretty typical of kids. But what I've tried to learn at an older age is to put the brakes on myself, in a sense. Like, and that might sound negative, because it might sound like, well, why not just dive into it? Like, use this power if you have that power to just like dive into something. And I don't know what the right decision there is, but what I've sort of started to think about a little bit is that if I don't dive too deep into it, and I put the brakes on a little bit, and I restrict myself for this app, instead of allowing myself to do like 12-hour days, I just limit it to 3 hours per day, and that's all that I get to do. If I do that, or by doing that, okay, I have lots of thoughts at the same time, but by doing that, I can sort of extend the length of the duration, or decrease the risk of me losing interest in it, because I just keep getting like a small enough dose where I will still want more. And I don't ever end up in the situation where I have unlimited ability to do something. Because I feel like when you end up in that situation, I will focus so much on it that I will sort of burn out in that interest. And that will then mean that, yes, I might get a lot of work done in like 3 months. I might get this app done in like a month and then iterate on it for a couple months. But then after that, I'll be burnt out on the interest and I won't want to look at this app anymore. And so that's not a very like, that's not like a longevity based strategy. It's not a strategy that's going to work long term. Because really what you want, or what I want, is to sort of have different areas of things that I want to do, but sort of maintain all of them at once, if that makes sense. Like almost like one of those, you can think of like a triathlete almost, where it's like you don't want to just focus on running. You want to also maintain your biking ability. You want to maintain your swimming ability, and you want to maintain all of these abilities at the same time. And that's sort of where I want to be. I want to be in a place where I still maintain my interest and my excitement about this, because I feel like even though this will extend I'm thinking like time duration, time line of how long it will take to build this app, at least I will probably continue, like I will get further on the app, even though it will take me longer to get there. I will get further on it if I put the brakes on myself. Now in 2 years, I might say that this is like a really bad idea. What you actually should do is you should just dive head first into everything, and just, if you have energy for something, use that energy at that time. And then if you lose that energy, that's fine. Move on to something else. But right now, with what I know, I think this is like the best option, is try to put a limit on how much time you're actually allowed to spend on certain things. So if you want to go running for an hour, maybe go running for 30 minutes and then feel at the end that you want to go, could have gone further, rather than going for an hour and 30 minutes and then at the end feeling like, I never want to go running again. That was so hard. And so that is what then so that's what then sort of limits my, wait, what the fuck's going on with my voice? So that's sort of what limits my or that's where I'm not sure if, like, should I spend time on this new idea of doing these like maybe shorter videos of just nature stuff with voiceover of like you-esque voiceover. Is that something that I should add to my already quite busy like life of lots of different things that I want to do? Or should I instead kind of say like, well, okay, that's an idea that I have. I can put that on ice and then continue to focus on this, continue to focus on the other things that I want to do. And hopefully at some point I might be able to get to that video or that idea. It's really hard because there's just so many things I want to do. And it's not clear that I have any real restriction. It's just like my own restrictions of yeah, I just put restrictions on myself. So it's like there's no one else that I really have to, like, there's no one else telling me to make these videos that I'm making right now, the one that I'm filming and working on this app. There's no one telling me to do any of that. So it's all up to me to decide, like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do something else? And obviously you always want to do like work on the highest impact problem or highest impact thing that you can. So, and when you're the only one really deciding what is the highest priority or the highest impact thing that you can work on, it makes me kind of question what do I base my decisions on? Like, what do I base the decision on that this is a good idea? Like, is this actually a good idea? And how do I even know if this is a good idea? Like, does it make sense to be making these videos? I mean, the channel's going great. I feel like I'm getting views to an extent that I wasn't expecting. But then it's not really generating that much income. Like, I think I am making $20 a month or something like that right now from this channel, which is actually good. Like, I'm happy about that, but it's not enough to live off of. So my other thing that I'm banking on is that this app will actually be something at some point. And that I'm sort of doing two flies with one stone, or two birds with one stone, I think is the saying. In the sense that if the app is successful, then this channel will be successful. It's sort of, that's the only way I could think about it, is that because even if Mark Zuckerberg or someone would have posted videos to YouTube every single day, I don't think YouTube even existed when he started his thing, but if he would have posted daily videos of him building Facebook, and that would have gotten 0 views at that time, now that would be worth a lot. Like, now those videos would get millions of views probably. But it's only because the app was successful. And so I feel like this channel and this app is sort of it's like a symbiotic relationship in a sense, or synergistic relationship maybe is a better way to explain it. Like, you have synergistic muscles, where if you do one action with your hand, there are lots of muscles that work in synergy to get you to the goal. So like, if I'm trying to move my hand here, then I think this is how it works. I think that's how I remember it. My shoulder, my chest, my biceps, all of those muscles are working synergistically to move my hand forward to the point where I want to move it. And the way that I think about this app and these videos is that they are working in synergy, because it's sort of like, if the videos do well, then lots of people will find out about the app, which means that people will be curious and download the app maybe. And that will make the app more popular, which could increase how many people use the app. And the more people that use the app, the more people might be interested in, well, who built this? And you might even have a story. Like, I could implement the story. I could have the story in the app to tell to users, like, this is an app built by a YouTuber who wanted to do blah, blah, blah. I could tell a little story about that, which is also not a bad idea, I realize, as I'm saying this. But you could have a story like that, which could then get people to maybe want to look at, like, well, what did it take to build this? And what is this guy like? Do I want to use the app that this, like, if you're using a dating app, I feel like if I could find out this is the face behind this dating app, and I could listen to that person sit and talk and rant about, or ramble rather, about nothing for 20 minutes, then if nothing else, I would know this is the person that has built this. Do I think this seems like a nice person or not? Whereas when you look at the other apps, it's sort of unclear who has built this, and do I trust them? Which I think is a good thing for a dating app, to have trust for the person creating it. So that's why I think these things could work sort of synergistically, where they could sort of, if the app doesn't get published, if the app doesn't go anywhere, then the channel won't go anywhere and the channel will fail. If I stop doing the channel, then maybe the app will have less probability of success as well. So it's sort of like they both help out each other without actually relying on each other, if that makes sense. I don't know. And so that's how I kind of figure that this is the highest impact thing that I could work on. But then it's also hard to just know, like, is this even, like, will anyone want to actually use this? I think that's the hardest thing to do when you're building an app. I think the idea is great. Everyone that I've talked to said that it's great, but people don't know. Like, no one freaking knows. If we knew what people would want to use, then everyone would be building that. But the thing is, no one knows that Flappy Bird is going to be like a viral game. No one knows that. There's millions of other games pretty much exactly like that haven't gone viral. There's so many variables that it's really, I think it's probably, here's what I think. I think that based on the idea alone, if all that you had to go off is the idea of an app, then I think it's close to impossible to know if it's a good idea or not, if it's going to work or not, because there are so many ideas that sound really good that just don't work in reality. But what I think is the key factor is just consistency. Like, if you just keep working on it, then I think at some point it will work. And I think that's the biggest contributing factor to making an idea work, because continuing to work on it doesn't mean that you keep the idea the exact same. Continuing to work on it means that you might iterate on the idea, you might change it. It might be that this, like the most famous example, I've said this several times, I think, but YouTube started out being a dating website. I think that's what the goal was. And now it's got nothing to do with dating. Similar with this. It starts out as a dating app. It might be that people realize that, well, this is a really nice place to just talk to people. And maybe it will move into that direction. Like, there are so many unknowns. And I think this is, I think this is a good lesson for life as well. Like, I try all the time to know the end result before I start. So, like, constantly trying to figure out, well, is this a good idea? And the requirement for it being a good idea is, will this generate something of some kind? Like, whether it's happiness for me or an income that I could live off of. Like, those are decisions sort of that you kind of, or that I think that you use to decide, or I use to decide what to do. Because if I didn't believe that this could be something, then what's the point of working on it? The only point of working on it would be because I think that these videos might do something, but then that's the same thing again. Like, do I believe that these videos will be popular or viewed by people? And before you start something like that, it's always, or before I start, I keep saying you, but I want to say I. Before I start something like that, I always try to figure out like, well, is this actually something that I should do based on, does it have a probability of success? Like, will this actually work? And I'm trying to figure out, is the end result of this going to be worth the time that I will put in right now into it? And it's one of those impossible equations where you're never going to know the outcome of something. So all that you can do really, I think, is, and the clearest example then is YouTube. Like, they thought the outcome was a dating website, and it became something completely different. And I think that's how it goes for pretty much everything. Like, I thought that this app was a certain thing when I started. I actually thought it was something completely different from the start. And then I decided to actually move more into just simple connections with people and reducing some of the stuff that I had from the start, which is like having events and doing all kinds of other things. And now I'm just like reducing it down to an MVP so that we can get it out. And then we'll see what happens once it's out. Maybe we can see user data and see like, okay, people seem to spend time on this feature and not so much on this feature. Could we improve that feature? Maybe we can get feedback from users. And that will mold the path for this app, and for the project, and for me, my life. And that's something that's like, it's completely impossible to know that from the start. And I think it's quite useful to look at things in the way that I did look at this when I started out. I tested the idea out on some people by asking them, what do you think of this idea? And then I based it on my own decision, that because I, from the start, thought that this was a really good idea. I really thought this was a good idea. And then I just kind of tested it on some people to see, what do these people think? And when they also responded thinking that it was a good idea, I kind of I gained a little bit more confidence in thinking that, well, this might be worth pursuing. It doesn't mean that it's a good idea because they think it's a good idea. It doesn't mean that it's a good idea because I think it's a good idea. People might not want to use it. But at least I have enough indications to say that this is worth pursuing, to see where it might end up. And then what I did was set up a system for me to work on this that is enjoyable. So even if the app fails or if no one uses the app, or even if no one watches these videos, is the process of me working on this idea, is that enjoyable for me? And if that's enjoyable, then I've sort of like it doesn't matter really where I end up on it, if that makes sense. Like, it does matter, but it also doesn't matter, because if I enjoy this process that I'm doing, then really, who cares at the end? I'm realizing that's not entirely true, because I do need to make money. So I will care at the end, but I think you get the idea. I think some things that are really important in life is to, and I find this super difficult, but like, it's important to figure out, do I enjoy the process of this? And if I enjoy the process of it, like, before you set a goal for yourself, figure out what does my day look like trying to achieve that goal? And if you realize that, well, whether I achieve the goal or not, my days will be enjoyable and it will be a day that I want to have, then that's a goal worth pursuing. But let's say that you find out a really good idea for like, well, and this is something that I find difficult too, is that sometimes you can come up with an idea that you think like this could make a lot of money. It might not, but like, let's say you come up with an idea like that, but then you realize, well, if I wanted to pursue that, then I would have to work on this every single day. And I hate doing that. But if the goal is achieved, then I would enjoy doing the work at the end, if that makes sense. Like, what's a good example? A good example might be that, well, you come up with a really good idea for like a chain of some kind, like a cafe chain. I don't know what it's called in English, but I think it's called like a chain, like McDonald's is a chain of restaurants, a franchise. Yeah. So a franchise of some kind. And you might be really good at or really enjoy managing people and like handling a big business. Let's say that that's what you feel like I would be great at that. Well, you might be great at that at the end, but then if you're going to start those cafes, let's say, then the first step to that is going to be probably several years of just running one single cafe where maybe you are the only staff, where you don't manage anyone. Maybe you manage one person, but your day-to-day life for maybe years will not represent the stuff that you actually like. And there are some people, like if you think about David Goggins or things like that, he hates running apparently, and he runs every single day all the time because he wants to punish himself or practice discipline by doing something that he doesn't like. I think there's value to that, but I think it's also unnecessary to add. Matthew McConaughey has this quote, I think, where he says like, don't invent drama, it's going to come. So don't invent false drama. Like don't invent stuff that's hard for you just because it's hard. You're going to find stuff that's hard. Like, even though I enjoy this process, it's still hard. Like there's still lots of days where I don't feel like doing it. So it's still really hard to do it on certain days. Like it's maybe not as hard as doing something that I really don't want to do. Like going to a job that I really don't want to do. But in that case, why not just work on, why wouldn't I just get a job at McDonald's, let's say? Nothing against McDonald's. I wouldn't want to work there. I would not enjoy it at all. I've tried things like that. I don't enjoy it. And so if I had the mindset of, well, I want to do the hardest thing possible for myself, then maybe I should go work there. Doesn't that make sense? And that I think is inventing false drama. And I think that's a balance that's sort of hard to, when you're listening to some of these people like David Goggins, it's hard to discern what the lesson is for yourself. And I think for me, at least, the lesson that I take away from those sort of things is that you do really feel good after doing something that you didn't really want to do in the moment, but that you know is sort of good for you in the long term. But then it has to be on the balance of not being so bad that there's nothing in you that wants to do it. Like I do enjoy this process when I start, and when I start coding on it, like I do enjoy building it. I know that's something that I like. And so even though I might sit on the couch before filming one of these videos and think that, oh, I can't be bothered doing this right now, I think that's sort of a good difficult, if that makes sense. That's a good level of difficulty at things. It's the sort of difficulty where you sometimes have a hard time starting, where you sometimes need to use a little bit of discipline to get yourself going. But once you're actually going, you do enjoy what you're doing in the moment. And I think that where people sometimes go wrong is that they're good at getting themselves going on something that they don't want to do. Like even when they're doing it, they don't enjoy the process. They don't feel like that's what they want to do at all. Like there are 100 things that I would rather do maybe right now than this. But it's also one of those 100 things that I could imagine myself doing at this moment, if that makes sense. So it's not, I don't know. I don't know if I lose you guys when I speak sometimes, but I think that's a good idea to try to pursue an idea that you think is good when it comes to like building apps or things like that, or making videos or doing whatever. Pursue something that you think that the end goal is a good idea or that it will get you somewhere where you want to go, but make sure that the process that you have to get there is also enjoyable. So even if you don't reach that goal, even if because if your enjoyment is like, let's say that YouTube, the creators of YouTube, their enjoyment was based on running a dating website. In that case, they failed and they are not enjoying themselves. They yeah, I don't know. I think you have to enjoy the process and not just the goal. There's this, what's his name? The guy who wrote Dilbert. I finished his book, which I talked about like at the start of the series. And he has the classic thing of like systems, not goals. So instead of setting a goal for something, set up a system that will achieve the goal. So if you follow the system, you will achieve the goal. And then you focus on the system and not the goal. So let's say that you want to be a more clean person. This is something that I've been working on right now. Like I have a hard time doing small tasks, like tidying up my desk or things like that, because I don't feel like I have the time, and I feel like it's a waste of time almost to do that rather than do this, because I feel like this is higher impact. Like working on the app for 30 minutes has a higher impact on my life than working on like tidying up my space for 30 minutes. But I know that that's important. So what I did is I tried to create a schedule for myself, like a system where how do I actually manage these smaller tasks in my daily life without feeling like I'm wasting time on them, if that makes sense. And so all that was is just create a system where every day you have 30 minutes at lunch or something, or wherever you have a specific time slot where you know that you always take a break from work. Just take 30 minutes there, clean up, look for things. Is there anything that I could pick up right now that I could take with me or go to the trash with, or just tidy up, if that makes sense? Like that's a system that I can follow, and it will achieve the goal of making my space more clean. Whereas if I just set the goal of like, okay, I want it to be clean in here, then the only way to achieve that goal is just to clean up. And then after that, it's just like, well, how do I, if I don't feel like I have time to clean up, how do I clean? And how do I keep my space clean? I don't know if I feel like this is a tangent, but I think it's important to think about systems and know that you don't know where you're going. You will never know where you're going to end up. I never thought I would be where I am today. Like even like 2 years ago, I didn't think I would end up here. And then I was doing YouTube 2 years ago, and I was doing something completely different 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And I could have probably never imagined that I would be here doing what I'm doing right now. And same if you go like 10 years ago, I thought I was going to be like a personal trainer 10 years ago. So it's just, you never know where you're going to end up. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned throughout my life, is that you think you're going somewhere and you're not going there, probably. Like, some people will end up exactly where they thought, but I even would argue that the people that end up there, they are still not exactly where they thought. Like, you can't really predict what's going to happen. And so you have to find a way to kind of embrace that. And I guess that's what I struggle with sometimes. It's like, with the video ideas that I have now for the nature stuff with the voiceover, my intuition or my instinct is to think of like, well, is that worth it? Is it going to work? Is it actually going to end up being something? But I also know at the same time that the only way that it's going to be something is if I do it for like 2 years consistently. So, and if I do it for 2 years consistently, then it's sort of like, I have the belief that it's almost impossible that it won't work. But it's just that the biggest thing is like, should I actually do that? Is it just taking on an extra thing that that maybe will just put pressure on me? Like, when it comes to coding stuff, like, anytime I want to code something, I want to film it because I know that that could make for content that I could do. But that also means that that it's sort of hard to just, in my spare time, to do coding, because just for fun, because I always feel like this could be a video of some kind. And so I'm sort of cautious about adding that pressure in other areas of my life. So if I have the hobby of being outside and going fishing or doing those sort of things, then if I also add that I make content about that, then it will mean that every time that I go fishing I will have the question of, should I film this or should I not? And even if I say that I film every single time that I go fishing, it will be an effort to film what I do every single time. Like, it will just add difficulty to something that maybe doesn't need it. Maybe the better thing is just to do that whenever I have the time, and then do this and focus on this as my actual work, if that makes sense. But I think I have this thing inside me. It's almost like a creative urge to, like, I almost have to like puke it out. Like, I almost have to create a video like that. And I don't even know why I need to create it. Because, yeah, I don't know. I just have this vision or this feeling in my head. It's like, I need to get that out. I need to see the video in the way that I think about it, and with the voiceover, and I need to get that exactly right. And I need to talk into the microphone in the right way for that. I feel like I'm a little bit schizo today, but we're going to start working, because now it's been like almost an hour of me rambling. But I hope you enjoy or get something out of it. I'm 31 years old. So maybe if you're younger, maybe this will be good for you to either learn something from, or see that I'm as neurotic as you are at 21, maybe. I don't know. But where did we stop yesterday? Okay. Let's implement a function to compress images. No, wait, what do we do? I think I need to write down just a to-do list right now because I don't know exactly where we're at with the video or with the app. Okay, yeah, we need to create a to-do list because I feel like sometimes when I start these videos, I just don't quite remember where I'm at. So let's create a to-do list and see what we need to do. All right, this seems like we achieved the goal of getting the profile picture from the back end. We've done that. So that seemed to be pretty easy. We also created the tables for the likes and dislikes and matches. So we're actually making good progress right now. Profile picture update, change, add like, dislike button. Okay, so we're gonna add the like and dislike button to a phone call so that we can actually like or dislike the person that we're talking to. But I don't know how to do that because, well, what I'm thinking is, how do you add buttons here? Like UI wise, like how do you actually do that to make it look good or make sense? Because the thing is, you could have like a thumbs up or thumbs down, but is that really that nice? You could have a like and an X, but I feel like that's also the thing that I'm thinking about in my head is that I don't want it to be too, I don't want it to feel too harsh on my end if I want to dislike the person, because like disliking a person mid call might feel quite harsh. So I'm thinking, like, is there another way to do that? Maybe you could just I mean, you could leave. That's always the option. You could leave the phone call, but that's not necessarily what you want to do. You could press next, maybe. But then you don't want to add too many buttons to this page either. Hmm. Okay, so let's try to calculate how much time users can get per phone call for it to make sense. How do we even do that? All right, so I'm trying to figure out how many daily active users do I need to have in order to, like, or how do I figure out how long a phone call should be allowed to be? And if, so you get with Agora, you get 10,000 free, let's just see. You get 10,000 minutes per month. Yeah, you get 10,000 free minutes per month. And so if we divide 10,000 by 31 days, which is about what a month will be, then we get 322. So that means that we can have 322 minutes of talking every single day. And so if we divide that by 5 minutes, then we get 64 calls. So about 64 calls per day can be made at 5 minutes each. And so how many calls will one user make per day? It's impossible to tell. Like, is this an app where you just sit and like talk for hours? I don't know. But let's say that you might talk for 1 hour per day. So one user might talk for 1 hour. So, and 5 minutes. So you get 12 phone calls per day. So 64 divided by 12 is 5 daily active users if each user talks for 1 hour per day. Well, let's say that we do 6, then you get 10 daily active users, which is not a lot. Well, the thing is, maybe we don't need to care about this too much at the start. We'll just set like a 5-minute time limit for a call. And how long is a speed date? 3 and 10 minutes. So 5 minutes. Okay. That's what I based that decision on. So we're going to say 5 minutes is the time that you get per phone call with a person. Okay. Right. Either way, what do we do? What do we do? Okay. So we need to add something to the function. So I'm trying to think of like, what do we want the progress thing to be? Do we want it to be like a timer that counts down? That might add some stress. Do we want it to be just a progress bar that... Okay, so I think a timer is going to be more stressful than a progress bar. Let's see if there's any science to support this, but let's see if Grok would support this. I think the answer to this is pretty obvious, that if you have a progress bar that just like slowly fills up or loads until it's completed versus a timer that counts down, the timer would be more, okay, maybe we don't need an answer to that actually. So let's add just a progress bar. Answer, a timer counting down is generally more stressful than a progress bar filling up. Yeah, that would make sense. Okay. So what do we need? We need a like button and a dislike button, but we probably want that at the end. So I'm trying to think of like, what will we need multiple times here? So what I was going to say is I think that we need a profile page that's both going to be the profile page of the user that they can change, but that's also going to be the profile page of the user that you see after the phone call. So you get like a profile card or something where you see like, okay, this is the person that I was just talking to. And then you can choose to like or dislike. And if we're going to reuse that for both the profile of me as the user and also of the person that I'm talking to, if that makes sense. So if you think of Instagram, my own profile page looks the same as someone else's profile page. So that is a like reusable thing. So I was trying to think of like, we need to create a profile page, but I think we also might want to have a profile page that shows up after a phone call is completed. Because, well, yeah, I think we do want that. The thing is, do we want to have a like button and a dislike button in the actual phone call that you're in? Or do we want that to be after you've finished the phone call? I don't know. All right, we have a progress bar now down here, which is actually really cool, I think. And we're going to just wait for this 5 minutes to end. And then when the 5 minutes is up, we should be able to see the profile picture completely clear. So I'm going to set a timer actually, just so that I don't forget this. For like 3 minutes. I'm really curious about this because this is really, I think this is such a cool feature. I don't know if it actually is, but now seeing it like this, I'm just like this. I think this is a good idea because you would be talking to this person and you'd like barely be able to see what is this. Who am I talking to? And then as this just continues, it gets less and less blurry. I can't really tell if it's getting less blurry, but I think it is. And by the end, you should be able to actually see who you're talking to, which I think adds some excitement to the phone call. Now, the question is just, is it too short? Is 5 minutes actually not that long? I don't know. Is it getting less blurry? Yeah, it's definitely getting less blurry. This is cool. All right, now you're actually starting to see who this person is. Okay, I really like that feature. The only thing I think is that maybe it reveals the person too quick. Because I don't know how long this phone call would feel like to someone, but ideally I'd want right at the end, like I want it to be, I would like it to be like an exponential curve. I don't know what type of curve it's supposed to be called, but like, yeah, an exponential curve, I think. So that at the start, it basically doesn't change the blurriness at all here. And then slowly towards the end, it just escalates and starts to like really reveal the picture quite quickly. Because ideally, you don't want to be able to see the person straight away. You'd rather be able to see them at the end of the phone call so that you don't see them too soon, maybe. I don't know. But maybe like 2 or 3 minutes talking to a complete stranger is actually enough. I don't know. But I like that feature. I thought it was a good thing. Let's leave the call. So what did we do? We created an unblurring feature. Now we need to create a like or dislike button. Okay, we're actually making quite a lot of progress quite quickly. So there's not a whole lot left. I'm adding the like button. I'm not really sure what I want to do, if I want to have a like and dislike button in the actual phone call, because I feel like we don't want to make the phone call too cramped with stuff that's not the picture of the person. Like if we want to allow users to like or dislike the person right inside the phone call, then we want to allow for as much space as possible to actually show the picture of the person at the end of the phone call, so that you see who you're gonna like or dislike. But either way, I think at the end of the phone call, in case you're like talking regularly like this, then you'll I just realized that maybe we need to have like a little toolbar at the bottom where we can set the speaker or mute. Or maybe all calls should be on speaker. I have not thought about this at all, actually. Now I'm just starting to think maybe it's better to have the phone call be just the basic UI of every phone calling app out there. I don't know. Okay, I see. We've reached the usage limit. But that's pretty much fine because it's 12 p.m. right now and I have to stop anyway. But I mean, we're making so much progress so fast. I think it's even going to be worth subscribing to the Max thing, because Claude seems to be really good at this. Maybe ChatGPT is as good, but I feel like so far Claude has not really made many errors. Like, and the errors that they seem to make, it's just able to kind of fix them straight away. So I'm pretty happy about Claude, to be honest. But this is, I mean, we're adding a like to the database as well. Like you can see here, if you go to likes, we have a like added. So now the next thing is just going to be to fix whatever the error was. But I think the error is something to do with the row level security. So the policy is essentially for someone to be able to like and to add to the database in the right way, which tends to be pretty quick fixes. So that's a good thing too. And then we have like, dislike. We should be able to get a match then, and then we can create our match page where we just see a match of some kind. I don't know. I think this looks pretty good. to be honest. It might even be that it looks good enough to go live with it, because I don't really know what else do we need. After the progress bar fills up, just push the user to the connect screen again and wait for another person to connect. Maybe it could be a thing where you don't get to see info about the other person unless you have matched with them. Because right now I don't feel like this takes up too much space of the screen, but I don't really know. I also don't know what to do about the speaker or mute thing. Like, do we want to have a button to put someone on speaker, or do we want the app to just automatically be on speaker? If it's automatically on speaker, then you won't be able to use it in public places, which maybe you don't want to use it in public places. I don't know. But I could also see someone going out for a walk and just going on the app to talk to people while they're on a walk, because maybe they feel like they are more relaxed when they're out walking, or those sort of things. And we don't want to discourage that. But then again, as I'm saying this, I'm trying to remind myself that maybe we don't need to figure everything out right now. Maybe we could go live with this and see what it's like, and then iterate on it, add features like speaker, mute, etc. Yeah. Other than that, I think it's pretty good. We don't have much else to say today. Yeah, also, I'm going to go away for about 2 weeks on a holiday, and we'll be back after that. But that's why this is a pretty good thing. We've created the to-do list here, so I'll remember when I get back. But it's summer here in Sweden, so for the next few months, I'll probably be taking a week here or there to just have a holiday or vacation. And yeah, I guess that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that my ramble at the start wasn't too much. All right. See you in the next one in about 2 weeks.